Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, come on now. Isn't it an excellent day to elevate? Yes. Yeah, any day above ground is a good day, right? Yeah. I want to take a quick poll before we move on. I would like to see our brokers, real estate brokers. Would you please stand? Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Real estate sales associates, would you please stand? We have any in common? Ooh. Awesome. Those individuals who want to get a real estate license, would you please stand? All right, all right, all right. Great. Well, as mentioned in my bio, I served on professional standard at one point, and that the purpose of that committee is to address a real estate licensee that may get in trouble. There's a complaint that's filed, and they have to come before that committee where we hear what took place and make a determination on the discipline. And although the information is confidential, the case that I was on dealt with property management. And at the end of the situation, we realized that we didn't have a proper discipline system or method in which to address the crime. And at that point, I became very disturbed because I do teach real estate, and I knew that all the educational courses that we taught would not help this individual who had gotten in trouble because they didn't do the right thing for a member of the public as it relates to property management. So I put out in the universe, we need an educational course that's going to address this and empower individuals when it comes to property management. And putting that out in the universe, I guarantee it wasn't 30 days later that someone handed me a packet and it was Bryan Chavis information. I gave him a call and explained the need that our board had along with others, and he was so benevolent as he usually are, and he said, I'll do a course for the members of the board, which he did. In 2005 is when this took place. Also in 2005, I decided to open a property management office myself and was told that I was out of my mind because in 2005, there was 45,000 condo conversions between Tampa and St. Pete. That meant that everyone was many people were able to get financing and buying homes. So apartment buildings were converting into condos because money was easily available. How many of you remember that? Yeah, okay. So I was told by the president at that time, why would you open a property management company? Nobody's renting. You put a mirror underneath the nose. If it fogs up, they can get a loan. Even your dog can get one. So it didn't make sense to do it, but I did it anyway. Down the road, my son, when Bryan did the class, I called my son who was in college, told him, come home, you need to be in this class. That's what mommies do. And he came, he got into class with Bryan, we all learned. And in 2005, I opened a property management. I was having problems with the individual that was working. In that area, my son said, Mom, what do you want to do? Is it something I can do? And he went in the office, he started looking. We called Bryan. Bryan came over, he mentored my son. He was there, he was so supportive of us, and he helped establish us to be sustainable and knowledgeable in what we needed to do. My son now works in property management in California. He is the go-to troubleshooter for multi-unit apartment buildings when they're having issues and the owners want to sell. They call him in to stabilize the property, to increase the NOI, to minimize issues so that they can sell the property. He just called me not long ago to tell me that one of the properties that he was instrumental in increasing the NOI, it sold for $9.5 million. And I said, baby, you don't have a real estate license. Just think if you had a real estate license. Do the math. Yeah, I think it hurt this young lady. She said, oh my God. So the point to that is, that happened in 2005 with my son, and now he's still in the business and he's in California. What I have learned from Bryan is just cannot be measurable. This young man is so thorough, so detailed. He was called for just this purpose. Not only does he send out and convey the information, but he does it in such a charismatic way, in such a powerful way. You will not be bored. You will receive some powerful information that's going to change your life today. You're going to receive some information that's going to stabilize and establish your career and elevate you. into a new mindset, new method, a new dawn. How does that sound? Yes. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my friend, my supporter, Bryan Chavis.
I don't have a mic yet. Can anybody hear me? Can everybody hear me just fine? I'm gonna get this lapel going. While the lapel is, the mic is being turned on. I'm gonna use my voice. Can everybody hear me? Is this fine? Good? Alright. Alright, we're mic'd up. I went to the restroom, so I didn't want to have the lap there with me, you know. Some of y'all had some outfits that I was questioning. So, you know, I didn't want you to catch me on the microphone talking about anybody's outfit this morning. It would have been a good look. But, all right. I appreciate that, Ms. Thompson. Thank you for that elaborate introduction. I'm not sure I deserve it, but I greatly appreciate it. It's good to be back in Tampa. We're usually doing this for those who are with the Landlord Property Management Academy full-time and our interns. We travel, as Ms. Thompson said, now we're kind of nationwide, really worldwide. We set up property management companies and consult as far as Dubai and Singapore. So, you know, as she said, if it's been done, I've done it. And this class today is really about you all. I know you all, I questioned some of the board members, questioned people, and they said, why would you do a class for $14? I said, well, really, the investment is not the $14. Does anyone know what the investment is? Who said that? Say that again? Time. That's the most valuable investment that we have. And for me, for you all to come here and spend 8 hours, and most of you have the misconception that we're going to just be talking about property management. There's no way in hell you have got me here for 8 hours for somebody to be talking about no property management. Period, end of story. So I thank you all for coming out here and investing your time. My job is to give you a return on investment. Everything I do is based on return on investment. So hopefully by the end of the day, you'll have a huge return on investment for your time. Because again, that's the most valuable thing that we have. It wasn't the $14, it's the time and the seeds that we're sowing here today. So my job is to take you guys from the baby steps to property management. I'm going to talk about in the beginning on how to set up property management companies. We're going to talk about how to structure them. We're going to talk about, if you're an investor, how to still structure a property management company to help you hedge against protection. We're going to talk about the real estate market. We're going to talk about real estate investing. Most of you, again, came here with a conception or a misconception that all I was going to talk about was property management. But really what people do not understand, if you have shadowed me or you understand my business or my business model or what I teach or read any of the books, you'll realize that property management is just I don't want to say a crutch, but a foundation that I use to participate in much larger deals. My background is multifamily. That's really what I'm after, are apartment buildings. I look to raise my own money, do private placements, buy my own apartment buildings. We're starting our own fund. We got my friend here, Chad, who's flew in from the Carolinas. Wave to everybody, Chad. Chad's coming in from the Carolinas. Oh yeah, he got a hand. One person clapped, met Chad. Chad flew in from the Carolinas. He'll be heading up our division of acquisitions. So we're actually ramping back up. And we'll talk about, most people are like, well, why are you ramping up? Cap rates are going to be, values are going to be possibly dropping. Our values right now are extremely high. Why would you even be thinking about it? So we're going to kind of talk about why. The whole why I invest and how I invest and what type of strategies. Chad's coming from the flipping world. He's a wholesaler and does a lot of flipping, moving into the multifamily. So he's got a tremendous amount of knowledge in that particular industry. But now I've converted him over to the dark side of multifamilies. 5 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. Anybody ever play that game? I'm the red hotel guy. I believe in 5 greenhouses. Don't get me wrong for my wholesalers in here. But to build wealth, there's a big difference between being rich and being wealthy. Building wealth is a measure over time. And to build wealth, I have to invest in the red hotels, that monopoly theory. And it was evident in 2012. One of the reasons why you guys haven't seen me is in 2012, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And all of the investments and all of the money and all of the portfolio that I had, I ended up having to sell off because I didn't have insurance. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of make sure that we talked about this from a business standpoint, and I taught you all from an entrepreneurial standpoint. This is not a property management class, this is an entrepreneurial class. Because I found myself as an entrepreneur, best-selling books, building a worldwide brand, buying apartment buildings, things are going well. Then all of a sudden, Christmas Eve, I'm on David Solid, and I have a seizure. Or at least I thought it was I didn't know it was a seizure at the time, but I thought it was an allergic reaction to the Tamiflu, I think, or third. What is that they give you when you have the flu? Third flu. I thought it was an allergic reaction. But anyway, I started shaking all over the place like a fish out of water, and come to find out after tests to get over, of course, thank God I'm right on the Isle of Tampa General. They get me over there and find out that I have a brain tumor right on my motor cortex. This is not, even though it's in style now, this is a part, but this is a part that TGH gave me. This is not a part that my barber gave me. So at the end of the day, luckily it's in style. As soon as the whole part style kind of fades, and I'll probably do the Donald Trump comb over and kind of roll with that. But for right now, you said, no, don't do the Trump. I like the Trump comb over. It works for him. It can work for me. But at the end of the day, so I find myself with a brain tumor. So people are like, well, where has Bryan been? For 2 years, I've been dealing with a tumor because they didn't want to remove it at the time. So, you work your whole entire life to build a brand. You work your whole entire life to get everything that you want, apartment buildings, money coming in, recognition in the industry. And then one diagnosis, they tell you, hey, look, and not only that you have a brain tumor, your brain tumor is located on your motor cortex. Nobody wants to touch it. So what that means is if we go in and we cut it out, we'll paralyze you for life. And so at the end of the day, your best scenario is let's just try to put you through years of chemotherapy or a year of chemotherapy. So I'm going through a year of chemotherapy. In the meanwhile, going through all these seizures because those were constant. They just were like sometimes 2 or 3 times a week I was speaking. I don't know where Ricky's at, but we'd be on the road and I have a seizure in the hotel before I go on stage like this and have to deal with that. All of that, dealing with all of that, and if anybody have ever heard of chemo or had a loved one go through chemo, it's like drinking pine salt and then having to function after drinking a whole entire bottle of pine salt. It just makes you pure sick. So after dealing with all of that, that's not what killed me. Cancer doesn't. That's not, of course I'm still here, but that wasn't what was killing me. What was killing me is that I'm having to pay for all these surgeries and these brain maps. Finally, we got a surgeon to say, okay, I'll remove it. They mapped my brain and they did all this cool stuff. If you go on Facebook, you'll see a video on Wide Awake while they're pulling it out of my head. It's just, but it costs. Bottom line is that surgery plus the one to tell me that, yeah, there's a tumor there. You're talking about over $700,000 for the first surgery, over $800 plus for the second surgery. So with a man with no insurance, you got to liquidate. So I'm here to tell you that this is far more than just a property management course. We're going to teach you not only how to invest in real estate, how to build businesses, but we're going to teach you the entrepreneurial mindset. Because I thought I was a sophisticated entrepreneur, but I didn't have life insurance. There's certain things that I had every base covered. Dan Thompson will tell you, anyone here who knows me, the Greco, he'll tell you, at the end of the day, man, I have more complexity when it comes to LLCs and various different structures. You can't find my name on anything. It's this type of corporate, all kind of, but no life insurance. So at the end of the day, this class, more than anything, I'm here to teach you all how to be entrepreneurs. And we're just so happening to use property management as our tool. Does that make sense? To do a lot of things. To, number one, sustain us, which means help us for those who may want to, does anybody in here want to invest properly in maybe rental properties, single family homes, apartment buildings, anything like that? Right, so we're all here trying to make money. How many of us are here just because just need the CE credits? Don't lie, it's cool. Free coffee, donuts, and lunch, and some CE credits, you can't beat that. I don't know about the associations around here, but they ain't feeding you guys like what we're about to feed you at lunch break. So, if you're here for that, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm talking to my investors now, and even if you're in property management, because there was a day when I was like this young man, my intern, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no clue about real estate. Barely had a high school diploma, and they gave me that because I turned 19. So once you turn a certain age, it's either go to work for Lakeland High School or, you're going to have to, find something to do. So thank God I got involved in the real estate industry. But my main goal is to build wealth. And that's what my goal is to basically pass on to you all today. But I use property management as that tool. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. Does everybody follow me? We're here, we're going to learn property management, but you're going to also learn the entrepreneurial art of property management and how to use it to figure out what is your why. And that's the key. Let's figure out what our why is. Why are we here? Again, are we here for CE? I hope by the first lunch break you'll realize that it's much more than just CE credits here. I'm talking about wealth building techniques. I'm not talking about getting rich. I know there's probably another seminar at one of these hotels downtown that I've seen on Facebook. They're talking about, hey, you can buy this house and you can flip this and you can make. That's getting rich. There's a huge difference between getting rich and being wealthy. Do we know that? Wealth is measured over time. And what I'm teaching you is hard work. That's why my classes, wherever I go, I have to do private consulting. You don't see the room full from here all the way to the back. You don't have people standing out trying to get in and look, I don't have my own TV show. HGTV, that's why they didn't pick me up. Because this stuff is hard work. Nobody wants to get on TV and talk about hard work. They want to show you guys how to buy this house for $30,000, $40,000, go in with a hammer, beat the hell out of it, put some tile down, put some lipstick on the pig, turn around and flip it and sell it. And then everybody's like, woo-hoo, everybody's excited. At the end of the day, if that formula actually worked, and if it does work, please clue me in, because I haven't caught on to it yet. And I do need to catch on to it. If it's that easy, I'd love to catch on to it. But what I'm talking about is hard work. Understanding how to analyze properties. Understanding how to analyze markets. These are the things that I'm going to teach you. Then I'm going to hand you today, which is those manuals in front of you. I'm going to hand you a manual that's going to teach you how to operate and manage your properties. So if you're a real estate agent, how many agents do we have here looking to do property management? So if you're an agent, I'm going to show you how to do it more effectively. And I'm going to show you how to protect yourself as an agent. Okay? We're going to do the rights and the wrongs. We've got the city of Tampa here talking to you about fair housing. We got Servpro talking about maintenance. I brought in some heavy hitters today. Ann Thompson's going to back me up on the brokerage, because a lot of you all are doing real estate and using your real estate license, and the interaction between agent and broker is all messed up. Agents doing whatever it is they want. Broker's like, hey, as long as I don't know about it, we're good. Unfortunately, that's not how it works when it comes to freight. Trust me, I know. I have Chavis Realty, and we specialize in property management. I specialize in allowing my agents to learn property management. So most people say that's a complete nightmare. That's a fool's errand. Yeah, if you're not educated and trained, it is a fool's errand. If your broker's turning a blind eye, is not really making sure. And going to a Harry Heist, which is awesome, but going to one law or legal class a year is not going to help you if you're ever sued. And we're going to talk about it in class. So what we're here to do is give you the infrastructure. You guys got what you need. You got the infrastructure. That manual, if Bryan was to say, hey, look, there's a fire, everybody hit the exits, and we all had to leave, and we couldn't come back and finish this class, that manual in front of you is all you need. If you know how to read and write, if you had that manual, you would know how to operate and run the property. Okay? It's that important. And that's what we're going to take you through. So we understand the why. But before we really get into the first morning presentation, let's go to the business plan. I have to talk about something that's extremely boring. And I'm going to touch on it. None of you like this, and I know. I don't necessarily. I'm an entrepreneur. This is not what I want to do, is sit down and talk about a business plan. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that I learned being sick. Sitting over in TJH for 3 to 4 months in a hospital bed in ICU. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes through your mind about, dang, I should have did this right. Dang, I should have did this right. Dang, I should have did this right. Not too many of us come back. Not too many of us come back and get to actually speak to an audience and tell them, hey, look, this is where I've been. I've seen some things. I'm not only here to tell you that this is how you build wealth through real estate, but I'm also here to tell you about some real life stuff. Because some of you all are going to, the same thing's going to happen to you. God hope not maybe a brain tumor, but you guys are going to run into some challenges. And so what I'm saying is that when you run into those challenges, you've got to have a blueprint. You have to have something that keeps the compass on north. Because there's going to be a ton of distractions. As soon as you leave my presence today, there's going to be tons of distractions. Some of you are single parents. Some of you are dealing with job issues right now. Some of you are dealing with spatial issues right now. Everybody in here is dealing with something at some given time. If not, it seems like me all the time. Brain tumor. I mean, it's like, I could pick 1,000 things that, if anybody's ever traveled with me to Vegas, they know, this dude is, I've done it all. Jumped out of planes, I've done a brain tumor, out of all the things I would have guessed that would have actually caught up with me. Not driving my car on Leroy Selman going 200, testing my Mercedes out. Not jumping out of a plane in Vegas. Doing all, not alligator kissing off in the Everglades or whatever they call it. You pick $30 and you get to go hug an alligator and get a selfie with it. All the crazy things I did, a brain tumor. So something is going to happen to us, and we have to prepare ourselves for that something. There's going to be multiple things that may happen to you, but if you have to be able to keep your business headed north. You have to have a focal point, and a business plan is a focal point. So in the manual, on our website too, you don't have to go there yet, there's a free downloadable business plan. There's also a business plan guide in your manual. So you want to open that up to the first section, and you'll see that I gave you a business plan. Talks about the executive summary, talks about everything you need to start your business. Okay? Everything you need to start your business. Extremely important. And again, I get it. I know most of you don't really care. You're probably tuning me out. But I'm telling you, please don't tune me out that this is important, because this saved my life in a lot of ways. Along with the doctors at TGH, the medical staff, and the grace of God. There's a lot of things that play a factor into it, but having a business plan and being able to have something solid to make sure that the ship is continuously running when I wasn't able to run it, it's extremely important. And you cannot get that without having a good, solid business plan. So when you go home this weekend and you're going through this week and you're starting to learn about how to develop this property management company, how to utilize this property management company to do several different things, make sure you put it down on paper and you put the vision down on paper, okay? Because if it's just a vision, there's tons of people that have vision. There's tons of people who have goals. But if you're not, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're not, help me, source. If you're not, focus. I would say focus.
Inspired.
Action. It's inspired. You need that. These are all good adjectives, but organized. That's another one. Hell, you guys are giving me everything I need but what I'm looking for. If you're not actually taking action, well, there's a word for it, execution. That's the word I was looking for. Kind of morbid. But everybody will sit up and talk about business plans, sit up and talk about building wealth, but nobody learns how to execute. I deal with so many people every single day. They're good at talking, but they're not good at executing. People always ask me, well, how did you get to where you're at? How did you go from just having a high school diploma to becoming a bestseller? I never even passed an English class. Everybody on my staff has more degrees than me, including the daggone intern right here. The people that checked you in this morning, everybody on my team has a degree but me. My wife has more degrees than a thermometer. But people are like, how's this man able to do what he did? I will tell you how I do. I show up and I compete. And I'm all about execution, where most of you all will sit there and talk and convince yourself out of it. Oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, oh, I'm this, whatever. I'm all about execution. I will go out there and try and execute. And I fail most of the times. 9 times out of 10, I do fail. I mean, we take up the whole 8 hours if I sat here and told you about all of the various other little apartment buildings I bought and they went under, or ventures property management software. I tried to start my own software company. It went under, after hundreds of dollars. If I say, I go on all day about all my failures, but I keep trying. And I believe in working a plan, and this is your plan. The business plan is what you're going to use to work it. So when you go home today, you're going to focus on building and developing a business plan for your business, okay? How many of us have a business or an LLC that we're operating out of right now? The vast majority? Good. So we're going to talk about that. Next slide. So we're going to talk about 7 steps. These are 7 action steps. I'm not going to read the manual verbatim because we'll be here all day. So I'm going to pull some various action steps from the manual. But there are 7 action steps that I want you guys to look at. Can someone name the first one?
Get licensed.
Get licensed. How many of us have our real estate license? I know Ann did a quote, but I didn't see that. I was behind stage. How many of us have a license? Okay, a good majority of you. How many have a broker's license? Okay, another good majority of you. And the rest of you are, I'm assuming, investors, correct? How many are investors? Just hear about investing. Okay? Wow, so we got it. Student Ann's class is starting. Okay, perfect. So, good, we got a good mix, including student and Ann's class. What's number 2?
Set up a corporate entity.
Let's stop there real quick. Set up a corporate entity. This is something that you all do. Probably went online in the last year or so and set you up a corporation. Everybody goes to what Sunbiz, sets up a corporation, and it's so easy. It's so easy. $179. And some of you were foolish enough to do the sole proprietor because it was cheap. So you went and did the sole proprietor. Let's talk about these LLCs. Because no one, I was told, one of our owners in Chavis Realty is Chucky Atkins in Landlord Academy. Chucky played 14 years in the NBA. How the heck he made it 14 years at 5'7" or 10, I have no clue. But he was 14 years in the league. And I remember when he was playing with Denver, I went out there to Denver, and the owner of the Nuggets is Stan Kroenke at the time. Stan owned the Pepsi Center. He owned the Nuggets. He owned the Avalanche. I think it's a hockey team. But he owned them. He owned everything. His wife was some heir to Walmart. I just remember him saying something in the conversation. Well, you're not doing anything until you've been sued. I'm thinking to myself, oh God, I never want to be sued. It's like, well, son, you're not doing anything until you get sued. When you get sued, that's when you know you're actually starting to get some traction. I'm like, oh God, well, I hope I never get traction. I don't want to get sued. Come to find out, years later, I've been sued by every tenant. I don't know if our attorneys are here yet, if they've arrived, but you want to talk about people who can teach landlord-tenant law? I just about 2 or 3 of my tenants who challenged me in court and had them teach landlord-tenant law. I mean, they know it like the back of their hand. So at the end of the day, I've been sued. I've been to court well over 2,000 times. So understanding how to set up these corporations is what I'm going to talk about. Your LLCs, there's the do's and don'ts with your LLCs that you want to understand. Some of you I'm saying LLC because most of you are LLCs and some of you are taxed as an S Corp, right? Hopefully, some of you may be taxed as a C Corp. And again, that really is how you want to be taxed by the government, how you want to pay taxes, whether it's a C Corp or an S Corp. Most of us are going to be an S Corp because you only get hit with taxes once. But if you have a war chest of earnings of various different corporations, then you'll select the C like I have, and then you'll want to divide those assets up through the C. So you don't mind paying taxes on multiple different businesses that you have running through one. It can get very complicated, but running through one, what we call sister corporation or holding company. So I'm taxed as a C Corp, but most of you all probably do S selection if I'm not mistaken, right? LLC is taxed as S selection. I heard a yes. So at the end of the day, the thing that I want you all to know more about the LLC, make sure you're keeping your corporate minute books. How many of us are staying active with our corporate minutes every quarter, every year? So when you're sued, how many of us have insurance on our businesses? We're going to be doing an insurance from 1 to 7. Got to have insurance. The thing is that most of us have these LLCs, but we have no corporate minute book. And this is me standing on the stand. They want to see your corporate minute book. As soon as you're sued, you think your insurer will say, oh, I'm good, I got E&O, or I got liability insurance. And Bryan's here, he'll back me up on this as well. As soon as you think everything is good, trust me, Allstate, you're in good hands. You think you're in good hands until they find out that you haven't done your corporate minute book. Remember, you filed an LLC for a corporation. That corporation, what they're going to do is put you on stand. They're going to challenge. Does that corporation actually have a procedures manual? How many of you right now are doing property management, our own property? How many of you, by a show of hands, have a procedures manual? One. One person has a procedures manual. When your auditor comes, these are the things that they're going to ask you on the stand. Do you have a procedures manual? When's the last time you filed corporate minute books? Let me take a quick second to do a sidebar. How many of us have debit cards to our businesses? Raise your hand. Debit cards, right? How many have opened up a line of credit like Home Depot or Lowe's with our business? When you open up these credits, beware, because you want to open up not as your name, because you probably signed your name, correct? You want to sign as an assignee, not your name. The reason why is because when you sign as your name, it weakens the LLC. If you're not following the corporate minute books, it weakens the LLC. If you do not have a procedures manual, what the insurance company is going to say, back me up, Bryan, all the insurance companies are going to say, well, hey, wait a minute, we insure the business. Where's your policies and procedures manual? Every business has a policies and procedures manual. Oh, wait a minute, you haven't filed corporate minutes? Here's the kicker. When I first started this business, and Ricky was been around long enough with me, traveled with me, when I spoke in Vegas, and I'll just leave it at that. When I spoke in Vegas, I would make a lump sum of money, get wired to your account. Well, as a young man, a lump sum of money getting wired to my account to come and speak for 45 minutes to an hour means I got 2 or 3 days in Vegas. That lump sum of money, I would probably get paid 20 grand, come back with maybe $700 in my luggage. I had a good time in Vegas. So I would come back, have a great time in Vegas, come back, my accountant would sit me down and say, hey, Mr. Chavis, let's go over some stuff. I'm thinking to myself, what do we have to go over? Well, it's how you're spending. It's my money. I earned it. I sat up there. I don't care if I talk for 15, 20 minutes. If they pay me $100,000, that's my money. I can do what I want with it. That was my portion. He comes in with a book about this thick, sits it down. I'm thinking to myself, this is some kind of tax IRS reform that we're going to go over. That's going to put me to sleep. That's a list of my transactions. For my business, mind you. Louis Vuitton, Celine Dion. What's those blue people? The blue men. Places I won't even mention. Now, because we're on. We'll keep that between myself, Vegas, and Ricky, and the account. But I'm spending. I'm doing my thing. I'm spending. It's my money. I can spend it. I earned it. Right? I wrote the books. I can do what I want with my money. I'm spending. Problem is I got this long list in my account saying, look, all this spending is coming from your corporation. That's a no-no. Because when you're spending and using your debit card in your personal name, what the creditor or the insurer is going to do, the creditor is going to do, the person suing you is going to say, hey, look, this is not a corporation. This is a what? This is an individual. These are the actions of not a corporation, but the actions of a individual. That's it. Once that hits the transcript and the person doing the typing in the courtroom, once that hits and the insurance company gets that, oh, wait a minute. Right, Bryan? We insured a corporation. We didn't insure Bryan Chavis. You didn't open up that policy. So when you're sued or I'm being sued, they're weakening my position of a corporation. Most of you know this as Pierce to corporate. But we hear that. I heard it. But nobody ever told me that I couldn't spend my own money in Vegas. But we don't really get real life application of what that means. We just hear pierce the corporate veil. It sounds cool, so we'll say it at the next dinner party or networking meeting. Oh, I'm straight. No one can pierce my corporate veil. You're piercing your own corporate veil. Bryan, you idiot, is what my accountant's saying. Because Celine Dion, blue people, this group, you're piercing your own corporate veil. You're signing and opening up lines of credit in your personal name. You can't do that. You have to sign. When I sign these book deals, it's a corporation. I didn't go into these book deals. So when someone sues me, they're like, oh, well, we'll get your royalties. I don't own those royalties. A corporation that I have owns those royalties. I didn't go enter into a relationship personally with Simon & Schuster or my agent. I entered into a corporation. But when you do that and you enter into these corporations, as a corporation, you got to make sure that you're protecting your corporate entity. Does that make sense? And these are the things that they don't tell us. They just say, go to somebiz.com and open it up and pay your little $110, $140, whatever it is. You're good to go. You get your little stamp, your little packet, and you run it around and show everybody, look, I got this stamp, I got this thing, and you got your little folder. You don't even know what's in that folder about. It's corporate minutes. That's when you're supposed to file your corporate minutes. Again, none of us, that packet goes on the shelf, and we run out and we go and do business. We run out and we go sell homes. We run out and we go buy investment property. And for those of us who are buying investment property, let's stop there for a second and talk about how we structure that. Some of you are going, well, I'm not a realtor. That doesn't really mean anything to me. Let's talk about the various different structures. If you're an investor, it is my opinion, again, this is my opinion, focus group of one, I always bought and put my various different portfolios in separate LLCs. And then I would always create another LLC to manage those assets out of. So if I was ever sued, the tenants sue the LLC that does the property management. And then I go and I get insurance from my insurer, and I say, Bryan, hit me up with a limit, of X, Y, and Z, give me $1 million policy on this property management company. And for you owners, you can do this because you're owner and operator. For real estate agents, we'll talk about that, and Ann's going to walk you through the steps and the things that you all have to do to protect yourself and your owners. But if you own the property, then you can create a property management company without having a license. And then that's my recommendation, that you create and put your properties in an LLC, and then you create, if you have rental property, then you create another LLC to do your business out of. Please don't do your business out of your LLC. And some of you don't even have an LLC. You won't raise your hand, I know, because now there's 100 some odd people in here. No one wants to be that person that's owning all the property in their own personal name. But somebody in here, I can promise you, owns the property in their own personal name. And then they'll say, oh, well, the bank forced me. I mean, that's why, you know, it is. But you got to get that property out of your personal name, because, you know, when the tenants hit, they're going to sue you. Okay? Some of you will say, well, you know what? I don't have anything. Sue me. I don't own anything. But guess what? Your spouse may own something. Wherever your name appears, what they're going to do is they're going to start, the creditor is going to start going through and looking at the LLC. So let's just say, what was your name, sir? Ivan. Ivan and his wife. I sue Ivan. Ivan's like, I don't own anything. My wife owns the house. My wife owns this. My wife owns the business. If your names appear jointly on any accounts, then I can pull your wife in as a partner. Here's another fact. Somebody's probably sitting next to a woman or a male going, well, that's what? That's why I didn't marry him. Because now I get the best of both worlds. Number one, I don't have to marry them, and I get all the benefits of not being married, and if they sue me, we're not married. We're not jointly on them. Doesn't matter. If you have a boyfriend, a spouse, here's another thing. Ivan, if you have a mother-in-law, and let's say you are both broke, but mother-in-law, husband passes away, she's got $100,000, you're on the either one of you are on the bank account and you're paying your mother-in-law's bills because she's in a retirement home, your name's attached to that account, I can come after that account. So now I go after mother-in-law for that $100,000 and I wipe her clean if you don't have insurance. So don't think that these LLCs, because you go online and you just filed the paperwork and did what you needed to do and got that nice little packet in the mail, that everything is said and done, that it's all over. And these things you only really come to find out when you're sued. There's not too many people who are coming on stage and talking about, this class is about property management. We opened up the first 45 minutes, we haven't talked a thing about property management. We won't, because these are the things that you all need to know. Because you can go out there and get 50 properties, 60 properties, get software, and most of you are running probably a decent-sized portfolio right now, where you're one lawsuit away from losing everything, or you're one illness away from losing everything. And so these are the things that we have to do. That's why we have to spend the first hour on understanding, get the facts on building an LLC. Get the facts on moving forward and building the LLCs and the corporations. Does anyone have any questions real quick? We're down to 0 minutes, but I'll take any quick question that anybody has. Anybody? We all got that? Yes, ma'am.
Well, okay, so I'm that person that has the properties in my name. And so how do I go to an attorney and then transfer it into an LLC?
You could call the bank directly, which you probably would do, and they would probably hang up on you or tell you, hey, look, you need to talk to this department. That department will never call you, because the last thing they want to do is transfer it over in your name. So I probably would seek the advice of an attorney and have my attorney call the bank, or unless you own the properties outright. If you own the properties outright, you get them in your name. The ones you own outright, you need to put those in an LLC immediately, in my opinion. The ones you have a mortgage on, you need to call your lender, or have your attorney call your lender, or your accountant, whoever you're working with, and make sure that that gets done. But that needs to be done in some kind of meeting, not necessarily a phone call. You need to show up and sit down with your banker and say, hey, look, I have these properties with you. I'm going to get more. I'm going to hopefully use you, but I got to pull these out of my name. I can't have these in my personal name. Most people sitting at the bank and the tellers are going to be like, oh, no, we have to put it in your personal name. This is a guaranteed loan. That's the teller. They get paid maybe $14, $15 an hour. That's what their training says. You want to speak to someone above them. Because all of this is going into the software and unchecking and putting you in as a corporation. You're still going to be responsible until your corporation has enough, of course, its own EIN, but its own line of credit. It's what they call a BIN number, or what is that, Nathan? BIN, not EIN, but the corporation. What is our DUNS? You want to establish a DUNS number for your corporation. Very easy to go online and establish that. You want to start building up credit and applying for $50, $60, and Nathan can kind of go over some stuff and techniques, but you want to start building credit so you can then take out lines of credit for your business with non-recourse. But right now, the bank is going to want to hold you liable for those lines of credit. You need to switch that out in your LLC's name. You'll still be liable, but they have to sue and go through your LLC. And at least they'll be insured. You want to set up the insurance. Did I miss anything, B? You want to set up your insurance and make sure. My thing is to be insured. I want you to hit all these insurance walls, or these incorporation walls. Most of my tenants who try to sue me, the attorney will say, well, how bad do you want to go after Mr. Chavis? And they'll say, well, really bad. Man, every time he shows up, he puts one of those notices on my door. And the thing is, the attorney says, well, how bad is really bad? Really bad. Well, we need a retainer. Well, I thought you were free. Well, Mr. Chavis, his structure is pretty complex. This is not going to be a junior attorney. We're going to have to bring in one of our senior advisors to undo and unravel and get to the bottom of this. So no, unfortunately, this is not one of those free ones. So most of your detractors, most of your small lawsuits will get detracted because of your structure that you have in place.
So y'all think to put the insurance on the property in the LLC name?
You can do it just under the LLC name, right? The property under the LLC. I would insure the property under the LLC name, yes. And then I would insure your property management company, because there are some of them rentals.
They're all rentals.
Then I would create a property management company, use that as your operations manual. So if you're ever sued and they ask you for your operations manual, you can hold and say, this is what I operate off of. Because that's what's going to happen. Bryan will tell you that's what's going to happen. We also have Kirkland Waller coming in and talk to you about insurance and what things to do. But that's what's going to happen. They're going to ask for your procedures manual, they're going to ask for your policies, and they're going to ask for your, they'll probably pull at least 3 to 6 months of your bank statements. That's why my accountant pulled me aside and said, we need to go through this. You need to stop using it. So if you get paid $30,000 at an event to speak at, transfer that money over to what? Your personal account. Then you can go see the Blue people and Celine Dion and all the rest. You can do whatever you want, Bryan. You can go to this place and that place, but you got to transfer that money out of your business account into your personal, and then use your own personal debit card or credit card for that. Yes, sir.
What do you think about land trust and land trust agreements with the LLCs as beneficiary?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to move the class in a more complex direction, but yeah, land trusts are great. Some of the land trusts, my favorite is my favorite that I use is tenants by the entirety. But you just got to make sure that whoever you're married to is someone, because the person you sleep next to can end up being your worst creditor. I just hate to say that. I don't want you to bear bad news, but y'all, I don't have to go into detail, but you know what I'm talking about. You're looking next to that spouse right now, and you're like, well, he ain't talking about us, baby. We're secure. We're good. We're strong in the back. He ain't talking about us. I'm talking about everybody. The one you sleep next to can end up being your credit, your worst nightmare, your worst creditor. So I'm just simply saying, if you do joint tenant in common, just be careful. Whoever you sleep next to, make sure that relationship is solid. Because that means that individual has a right to come after everything if you dump your whole entire portfolio into that. So just want to make sure that you have a good asset protection attorney. Check through that with your accountant. And we have some really good ones here. Part of our vendors, and speak with them, and I'll point you in the right direction to speak with them because they set up my complexity. And again, we're going to talk more about this as I move into the investing side. What is the impact of Donald Trump to the real estate market? Because we have to start looking at some of the tax reforms, 1031 exchanges, how we are able to do our land trusts. All these things are going to be under scrutiny right now, and how we pull our money and how we pass through taxes and income because of the reform. So we need to kind of brace ourselves for that and be able to understand what entities are better to protect us. The good news is we all know Trump is a real estate guy. So we hope that that has some kind of influence on his decision-making skills. However, when you name a brain surgeon the head of your affordable housing, I have to sometimes question whether or not, it'd be like the equivalent of, since I had 2 brain surgeries, I guess I can go over to TGH and perform the next craniology because I've had 2 brain surgeries. According to the administration, that's all the credibility you need. So I do question that as far as putting a brain surgeon in charge of affordable housing. So what I say is we must tread lightly and pay attention to what's going on. Don't just assume someone's a real estate person and they're making sound decisions. Focus, because this will affect your businesses, and we'll be talking about that moving forward. Does that make sense? Anybody else have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Now I got to wrap up with this.
So real quick, so you're saying your advice is if you have 3 or 4 rental properties, it's best to put each of them in LLC and then open a property management company and put it all in there?
Yes. Now, I know you're saying, probably gonna say to yourself, and most everyone in here is gonna say, that's a heck of a lot of work. I understand. I told you the disclaimer in this class is that it's a lot of work. But for me, I'd rather sleep at night. Now, if your properties are valued under $60,000, $70,000, you want to lump them under one. I know Bryan, right? We'll probably see a lot of people lump them under, put them all under one LLC. That's fine. If you can sleep at night, just understand. If we pierce your corporate veil, you put everything. It's like putting your wallet in your one pocket. You put everything in that wallet in your one pocket, and I get to that one pocket, I get everything. So if you keep everything separate with different policies, and you've got a good insurer and a good company that can help you with keeping everything structured, then, to me, I would rather sleep at night. I'd rather keep everything separate. I don't want to put everything in one pocket. First thing they do when you travel abroad is they tell you, don't put all your items, everything you have, in one backpack, one item, in one location. Keep it spread out. Some on the boat, some on or your hotel, some on the boat, however you're traveling, keep it spread out. And I say that I use the same philosophy to real estate investment. I'm going to take this last question, Nathan, then I'll take the first break. Yes, sir.
The biggest concern, the biggest question I have is, okay, I got family that own their own property, plus I own their own property as well. I don't know anything of the land trust stuff. They want me to manage, like some of them are getting elderly, they want me to manage their properties. I'm not the owner of record, or my company's not the owner of record. How can I take care of their stuff without managing the land?
Are these family members?
They're family members and friends of the family, yes.
So what you could do is just say, hey, look, give me 2%. Give me 2% ownership based on performance.
Okay.
Most of the deals that I've, what's your name? Mike, most of the deals I've ever done, there was only a time in the very beginning that I was stupid, read some books, took some courses, and used my own money, raised my own money. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm the one that's running the properties day to day, like what you're about to do. How about I take a percentage of ownership in these apartment buildings and leverage and use my property management company? So if you take a percentage of ownership, you now have equity ownership, which allows you to operate the actual property without any kind of other restrictions.
Yeah, because I did have, board of realtors, a bunch of people started calling, they're like, I'm like, I ain't doing nothing yet.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. We'll be going over that. I couldn't. That's why I created a brokerage. But guess what? My broker, raise your hand. It's not me. I have nothing to do with the office. So at the end of the day, I can create an entity, pop my broker in it, and run it and operate a property management entity. Or I can do like what I like to do with multifamily, and when we get into it, you'll learn a little bit more about what I'm saying, is I approach the ownership and say, give me 3% ownership, give me 10%. And I take 10% of an apartment deal without ever putting my own money into it. But what I do is I reduce the management fee sometimes down from 10% maybe to 7%, take 10% ownership in the project. And most of the times the investment group actually asks me, especially moving forward as interest rates go up, Mike, they actually want a professional property manager on site with a resume before they even give you the loan. So if you have that experience and you're going to get a certification today and you can show that you have your certification, your procedures manual, and the business model set up with a business plan, you present that to the lender. My lender's in the back here. They'll second it. When you present that to the lender, it's a lot easier to get those loans. So most of these owners are going to want you to have a percentage skin in the game. Just take 3%. I take 10 because if I do 10 and I have 10 deals, I have 100% of something without ever putting my own money in. I lost everything in 2008 because I raised money and, the market went belly up eventually. So at the end of the day, I learned, okay, the next time I do this, I'm not going to be using my own money. None of these hedge fund guys is running around using their own money. So I'm just, I'm some dumb. I ain't plumb dumb. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we're done in 15 minutes. Oh, that's not the end. That's just a break. I appreciate the clap on the break. That's good. I appreciate it. It's just a 15-minute break.